Samsung has just released One UI 7 and it is now available so we can get to know its new features. Although this initial stage is in beta, so you have to sign up for the beta if you want to be able to download the update. To sign up, you must use Samsung members, although in this case it is only available in some specific countries such as the United States, South Korea, and Germany, although the beta a little later will also be available for India, China, Poland, and the United Kingdom. However, the Sun Mobile site has already shared with us a video showing One UI in action, so let me tell you about the main new features and changes seen through this content. For starters, the obvious and aesthetic change showing new icons, especially the system icons and icons that have to do with Samsung services. They now show a slightly more colorful aesthetic, even putting gradients that had been abandoned by the current design trend. So it is quite strange to see gradients in the year of the year, but perhaps it is a trend that will return. There are also changes to the design of the widgets that now look a bit more rounded. In general, the whole user interface looks a bit more spacious and with more rounded edges. Also, the battery indicator has changed, as we had already anticipated. The percentage number is inside the battery, and also the quick capture feature continues to evolve. Since the generation that we all currently have, it has changed. And now you simply press a button and then enclose whatever you want to start a quick capture. The button to create GIFs is back in, but now you have to press a special menu after you have selected for that button to show up. There are also small visual changes when loading the Galaxy AI options that are built into the keyboard. And now the notifications panel and the quick settings panel are separate. So, swiping from the top left down, we're going to access notifications. And swiping from the top right down, we access the quick settings panel. Although we can also switch between these two pages by scrolling horizontally. Notifications have much more rounded and more spacious borders, also with a blur effect applied. And the quick settings panel has a very nice design with connectivity at the top, full settings in the middle that you can more easily scroll to show all on the same page instead of the switching between screens that we saw previously. And also controls for brightness and sound located horizontally, plus access to the player directly from this section. But something positive is that you can press the edit button to reorder all these elements and place them the way you want. We will also find a new design for the app drawer, as remember that previously we saw only a horizontal navigation by pages, but now they have opted for a change and navigation is vertical. So there are no pages, but you simply go sliding, and we will also be able to navigate quickly in alphabetical order if we slide on the scroll bar that is on the right side. The search bar is now positioned at the bottom so you can reach it more easily, and you can also go back to the horizontal navigation format if you prefer that option. There's also a slightly different view for the recent apps list. It's something you could previously enable with Good Lock, but now it will be available to all users, where the app cards appear to be stacked on top of each other rather than completely separate as we had previously. By the way, the whole system looks quite fluid and optimized, and that's even though it's still beta. Another new feature is called Now Bar. I don't know what will be the special translation they will make later, but in English it is known as Now Bar. This is a small capsule that is available on the lock screen and will also be displayed while you have Always On Display enabled, although you could also disable it in Always On Display, but keep it on the lock screen. It's up to you as a user. This little bar is compatible with various applications. For example, if you're playing music, the encapsulated controls will appear, and if you tap on it, the full controls will be displayed, even showing the full cover of the content you're playing. But as I say, it is not only compatible with music players, but it is also available with the clock, so that in case you place a timer or a stopwatch, you also have quick access to the controls and the information that it can show you. In the settings, you can enable or disable which apps will be compatible with this, because it also supports the voice recorder and emergency sharing option, which I'm not sure what it works for yet. Also with Samsung Health, the interpreter, Maps, Samsung Notes, and Bixby. It would be great if Samsung would support third-party apps as well, but we don't know if it will release an API for other apps to implement their own pod. Although we have also seen other occasions where Samsung launches an API for developers to take advantage of these features and nobody does it. That's one of the downsides of being on the Android side, because even though Samsung may come up with innovative features that developers could take advantage of, almost no developers release a special edition for Samsung and another edition for all other Androids. There are also new battery protection options. While we had already seen that Samsung now divided into basic, adaptive, and maximum level, now if you select the maximum level, you can also change the protection percentage. That is, up to what level you will allow the battery to charge, and after that it will be blocked. You have 80, 85, 90, and 95 available. There is also a new option to transcribe your calls along with Galaxy AI. Although this goes hand in hand with call recording, then it could vary in different countries its implementation, as there are countries where it is forbidden to record calls and manufacturers cannot put those options. However, here is shown how the device starts this recording by giving an alert to the other user to be aware that the call is being recorded, and subsequently you can transcribe, and they are shown as bubbles as if they were some text messages to read what the other person said and what you said. Also, another improvement of Galaxy is that you can now select text, and in the context menu, the Galaxy AI button will appear to start transforming this text or create different things based on the text, so now it will be much easier. Finally, we also see changes to the camera layout, where now the top is much cleaner. They have removed the vast majority of options from the top, retaining only the flash control, resolution, and it seems to me the live photos feature. The bottom is where you'll find most of the additional buttons and options. For example, there is the macro mode, then the control for everything that has to do with zoom, and then a button that will show the rest of the options that were usually at the top. But among these buttons is one that wasn't there before, and that is the exposure compensation control, which while before you could get to control by tapping on screen and then moving the slider, now you can adjust this exposure without the need to tap, because tapping also adjusted the focus. So now it's going to be much easier. Plus, you can leave that exposure compensation set, which can be very useful when you're capturing dark scenes where usually smartphones turn up the light too much. But if you want to keep a dark tone in all your photos, you can adjust that much more easily. In addition, a new viewfinder now also appears in the center to help you center your photo well, whether you're taking the photo as an aerial shot from the top down or in normal mode. In fact, if you switch to portrait mode, this viewfinder also adjusts to show you a level so that you can have your photo with a straight frame, which is more recommended for portrait photography. Also, the Pro mode controls have been grouped in a much nicer way to move them around more easily. And the navigation between all the modes has been moved to the bottom to make it much easier to move between this whole list of modes as well. If you like taking raw photos, the news is that Samsung's native photo editor now supports editing photos in this format. Although apparently it will only allow you to control the lights and shadows, but it does not have more professional settings. So for that, you will need to keep using tools like Lightroom and the like. Samsung will now also allow you to disable the option for the screen to abruptly lower its brightness when you have less than 5% battery life. Something that some users might have found annoying, so Samsung will finally give the user the ability to choose the behavior. And finally, if you put your phone on mute, now also appears a new temporary mute switch for you to choose after how long you want to return to sound mode or the mode you had previously. So for now, these are the new features that we can know about One UI 7. Hopefully soon we can get our hands on a device with this version of the software to test it for ourselves. Takamesa.